you think there's something you've never heard of inside Minecraft? Something that's been in the game for years, but nobody has covered. The iconic sandbox video game developed by Marcus Persson and later bought by Microsoft has left a lasting mark on the gaming world since its release in 2009. It reported a total of 800,000 copies of the alpha version of the game owned. Today, Minecraft is believed to have sold over 238 million copies across all platforms, including all its spin-offs. With a game this massive, the effect it has on the media is huge, especially YouTube. Minecraft has dominated the YouTube gaming space for over a decade. In 2021, YouTube announced that Minecraft content had reached an cumulative 1 trillion views on the platform. This number covers millions and millions of posts. Everything there is to know about Minecraft is already a video. Well, almost everything. In the world of programming, there are oversights and flaws in the code. In the world of Minecraft, there are missing texture blocks. This is the story of the most mysterious block that everyone seems to have forgotten. Let's go over a few things before we jump into the block and its properties. Like, what is a missing texture block? Well, a missing texture block is a block with a placeholder texture assigned by Minecraft for handling cases where a suitable texture cannot be found. These are most often met in unfinished resource packs or after the removal of certain game assets. To put it simply, if the game is missing something from its files, it will be replaced with a missing texture. When's the last time you've seen a missing texture? Because it may have been in another game, as these are not exclusive to Minecraft. All games have them, and the design of them varies from game to game. And I'd also like to talk a little bit about April Fool's Day. Minecraft has had updates for April Fool's Day pretty much since it was playable. These updates are not to be taken seriously and are meant to be practical jokes within the community. The first April Fool's update was in 2011, but the tradition was actually established a year before in an old tweet from Notch. Due to him moving into a new house at the time, we never got to see a 2010 April Fool's update, but since then, they haven't missed a year. These updates can vary. Some of them change game mechanics. Others mess with mobs. And a few add new blocks. The 2011 April Fool's update was the first physical joke update of Minecraft. However, the patch notes didn't mention it as a joke update. In fact, the update added some features that we still have in Minecraft today, like tameable wolves, cookies, and holding shift on ladders. But hidden inside this update was a secret Easter egg that caught everyone by surprise. Upon creating a new save file after switching to beta 1.4, you'd find nothing out of the ordinary. Just as you would in any world, you head out and gather supplies. You explore the terrain and search for the perfect spot to start your new life. When, out of the corner of your eye, you see something glowing. You think it's a new mob or some cool new item, so you decide to take a closer look. And as you get closer and closer, you finally see a chest. Okay, well, it's not exactly what you were expecting. A little disappointing, to be honest. But maybe there's something in the chest. So, you open it. And this is what you're met with. A pop-up appears on screen. It's unexpected and it describes a brand new feature, the Steve Co. Supply Crate. The text in the pop-up explains that to open the chest, you need a Steve Co. Supply Crate key that is only available in the Minecraft store, which they have conveniently linked right there. After clicking on Go to Store, Minecraft opens your browser and takes you to this page. From here, we can see the Steve Co. key, but there's also an array of other items. There's stuff like a miner's helmet, a creeper saddle, name changes, or even a support team response. It starts to become increasingly clear that this whole thing is a meme. And if you try to buy anything, this happens. The crate and the Steve Co. store are obviously parodying Valve's hit game TF2. and its Manco store. It turns out that Notch is actually a big fan of Team Fortress 2, and he even has his own iconic hat in the game that nobody else has. This whole thing turned out to be a giant joke from the team at Mojang to celebrate April Fool's Day with its players. Additions like this give indie games that personality that makes them stand out from AAA titles. It makes the development team more relatable and human to the players, which strengthens the bond between the community as well. So, realizing this has all been one giant April Fool's joke, you close out of the website and open the game back up. What happens if you try to mine the crate? Well, it's not breakable. Which means the joke ends there. They ended up removing the naturally spawning crates a few days later, and everything went back to normal. So, why isn't the video over? As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, oversights and flaws exist in the world of programming. I guess that because the Steveco crate was a temporary joke, it wasn't programmed with intense care. It served no purpose in-game other than to make you smile, so it wasn't made obtainable. Well, it wasn't supposed to be made obtainable, but the devs forgot about one thing: explosions. You see, Minecraft has a hardness value for all blocks in the game. Unbreakable blocks like Bedrock have a hardness value of -1. Our special block was also implemented with the same hardness value as Bedrock, but another value was overlooked. Blocks also have a blast resistance value that determines how weak they are to explosions. And if you could get either TNT or a creeper to blow up near the crate, it would have a chance of dropping. It would have a 1/4 chance to drop from a TNT explosion and a 1/3 chance to drop from a creeper explosion. If you looted it from the explosion in your inventory, it'd look like a regular old chest, but it wouldn't stack with other chests, only with other supply crates. If you tried to place it down, it'd have the same properties as it did when spawning naturally. Since it didn't have a purpose, all you could really do is keep it in your inventory and save it as a memento of the event period. After a few days, Minecraft had another update that removed the supply crates from spawning naturally. Crates that had already spawned from the event period would slowly decay like leaves from broken trees, and crates that were inside inventories or chests were immune from decaying until they were placed. If you could get to a Steveco supply crate before it decayed, you could instantly break it and loot it without the need for an explosion. We have a limited time block in our inventories past its expiration date. So what do we do now? We wait. The locked crates were left alone after the update that tried to remove them. In fact, they were left untouched for over an entire year. You could show them off to your friends, who probably have no idea how you got them, but you couldn't do much else. When chests were given their smaller, modern look, locked crates still held the same dimensions as the old chest block model. Here's what they looked like side by side in version 1.2.5. We saw the first change to the block in August of 2012, the 6th snapshot of update 1.3.1. The locked crates textures were completely removed from terrain.png. This is the sprite sheet found inside of Minecraft.jar that has all the textures in the game. It was used long ago for storing the game's block, fluid textures, break animations, and even some items. Once the locked crate texture was removed from the sprite sheet, we were left with this. Most people have already forgotten about them, and now that they don't even look like chests anymore, you can't even tell that it used to be an April Fool's block. Anyway, looks like it doesn't belong, right? What is it? It's the empty panel on the sprite sheet. With a lack of texture, we're left with this corrupted looking shell, and it actually starts looking weirder and weirder. Just 2 snapshots later, emerald blocks are added to the game, and a side of our new missing texture is replaced with an emerald block. This is because the emerald block will use some of its space on the sprite sheet. It's left like this for a while again until redstone blocks are introduced. They're also incorporated into the missing texture of the locked crate. This has started to look like a real mess, but the very next update, it was once again changed. Well, textures were changed. In snapshot 13W2A, textures were put into individual files, and the sprite sheet was no longer used. This means that the locked crate has no texture to call for and will cause the game to crash if a world that has the crate is loaded. This was quickly fixed in the next snapshot and replaced with this. This is the missing texture, our first instance of the block being truly recognized as a missing texture block. We go through a few more iterations of new missing textures until we land on the one we all recognize, the infamous black and purple boxed pattern. Shortly after, the locked crate was also given an alphanumeric ID. This was the ID. This is the longest such ID in Minecraft ever. And not even 4 snapshots later, the ID was rewritten and the block was permanently removed. Our Steve Co. supply crate was turned into stained glass in update 1.7.2, snapshot 13W41A. It's gone. The block we've followed from conception is nothing but a faint memory now. And why do we even care? Well, maybe the block wasn't what was important after all. Don't get me wrong, it's cool and it's unique, but what I wanted to explore was a rabbit hole in the shape of an April Fool's joke that led me to old forum posts, Twitter messages, blog updates. Researching posts about this block also led me to posts like this. These people were living in the good old days, and they didn't even know it. And it made me wonder, what about us? Will we look back on the things we do today, 12 years into the future? Will we have the same nostalgia for these memories that we experienced from old ones? I was doing a challenge on my stream, where I was gathering every block in Minecraft in release order. We eventually got to beta 1.4, and I found this thing spawned in a new chunk away from my base. I grew up watching Minecraft videos. I've seen all the documentaries, the top 10 videos, the let's plays, and the minigames. Yet somehow, I've never seen a video on this. And I wasn't alone. Nobody in my Discord knew or remembered what this block was. It took all of us by surprise. So I did what anyone would do. I searched it up on YouTube. The only videos on the block are from 12 years ago, which made it even more important for me to document and upload a new video detailing the information regarding this block. Not because this block will change the world, but because it'd be a disservice to let this moment be lost to time. During my research, I was able to meet up and chat with one of the first people to ever upload content on the block, Skoogage. He gave me a look into what Minecraft was like back in the day.
I started playing Minecraft when it was still in alpha. I think it was just sort of like internet osmosis. We had stuff like Garry's Mod back then, which was kind of a sandbox game where you could just build whatever you liked, but it was kind of restrictive. And then along came Minecraft, which was this new like 3D voxel creative sandbox game. It was just really kind of a new concept at the time, and so everyone talked about it. And more so than that, Notch was very like close to the community. He always posted like developer updates and tweeted a whole bunch about new features and stuff he was going to put in the game. So it was all very, very much active back then. Oh, the block was some sort of chest, I believe, which was an April Fool's joke that Notch implemented at the time. Notch, if I remember correctly, liked to joke around a lot, and so every April 1st he would think of something new to put in the game for that day in particular, and it was going to be gone by the next. And sometimes it was stuff like this, where you just would stumble upon it in the wilderness and it would spook you a little. So I started up my own like single player game and I just searched for it. From the general feel, I would say it's still very much the same that it was back then. You just open up the game, and if that's your intention, you just build whatever you want. And that's, for me, precisely the magic of Minecraft. And nowadays, Minecraft is well established. It's more of a mainstream game. So nowadays, there's a lot more content on social media platforms. So obviously, it's not quite as close-knit as it used to be. Well, Minecraft is one of those games that has followed me around for a good chunk of my life now. Like I said, I've played this game for like 14 years now. It's definitely been around for a whole lot of my life, and I've played it on and off, so I do feel nostalgic about the older days because it did feel a little bit different back then. But I'm also still very much in love with the game because it's just one of a kind. It's very unique. There are games kind of like it, but in itself, Minecraft is still kind of a game that doesn't exist in another form anywhere else. So I still very much like Minecraft. I love playing it, and I will always go back to it at some point sooner or later. So it's always going to be there for me.
What day is it? Asked Pooh. It's stew day, squeaked Piglet. My favorite day, said Pooh.
There's a third reason I made this video. Aside from the history of the block, aside from the nostalgia trip, I wanted to show you that things around us aren't very different from what they were in the past, even if it's hard for us to realize. You're older now than you were. You know more and have plenty of experiences under your belt that have shaped you as a person. You've gone through a lot, and your life is unique and complex. But I believe you can still find bits of your former self in things you can't truly outgrow. These pieces of you exist in your laugh. They exist in your curiosity, your dreams, and even your fears. They lie in every little crevice of the soul that makes you the person you are, different from everyone else. The reason you even experience nostalgia and have these strong emotions tied to it is because, thankfully, you're still you. Time is going to pass you by in the blink of an eye, and you will yearn for the good old days. But there's a nugget of knowledge you can take with you. I've learned through a Minecraft missing texture block that the good old days are today. Life has always been beautiful. It's just easier to appreciate it after some time has passed. You are, and have always been, living in the good old days. Enjoy today, because tomorrow, it'll be a memory.